Hi, this is Dee Dryden, and welcome to Reflections of Faith. It is March 24th, 2015, and the time is 7:31 p.m. But you can't guess where I ate today. I was running around, and that's not on my eating plan, but I don't like to call it a diet because that means I'm restricting something, and I'm not restricting anything. I want to make it a lifestyle to eat differently because it sure makes a difference. But I did stop in there at Burger King, and I had me a veggie burger and fries and iced tea. I didn't have any pop. So the good thing is they had a veggie burger there, and their fries, I didn't finish them because I don't like them as well as McDonald's, but I don't go to McDonald's anymore, so, and that's probably a good thing because I don't know if you've ever noticed that the food at McDonald's never disintegrates. I've seen it sit for 6 years and never disintegrates, and something's wrong with that picture. Anyway, I just wanted to show you that little crown that I got from Burger King. We're on our chapter of 101 Ways to Reduce Stress, chapter 8. But before I go into that, I want to tell you why I was not running around today. I was on a mission, actually. But to do that, I've got to go back about 3 years to let you know what I was doing. About 3 years ago, God had me get up and go look for a van. Now, I didn't know why He wanted me to look for a van, but my Ford Taurus had just about had it. Now, when my ex-husband and I had gotten divorced, he owed me $14,000. But I did a settlement with him for $7,000 and told him he didn't have to pay me the other $7,000 because at that time I needed a Ford Taurus, and I was going to be going to Montana the first time I left. So I let my husband off and blessed him with not having to pay the other $7,000. However, what I have been ascertaining and telling everybody, when you bless somebody like that, it comes around back to you, right? The other thing was that that I said in my videos is that I didn't take the ranch down when we had gotten divorced. He had asked me not to, and because he had established that before I had come, and he knew that after 21 years of marriage I had full rights to do that. So out of respect for him and my father-in-law and my mother-in-law, I did not do that. I didn't think it was fair, and for him as well, so I did not do that. And in the process, I ended up getting a van and $20,000. The sons ended up having a home because I didn't do that, and in the process, God used them to give me from each of the sons, if you watched in each of my videos, $10,000, which was under God's will because it was tax-free. I'm going into ministry, and He's trying to get me used to doing things that are going to be tax-free. I think you have to do a 502 or something like that, 502 tax form once I get into the ministry, so I'll be used to doing that. Anyway, how I had gotten the van was that he had, about 2.5 years ago, 2.5 years in 2013, God had told me to go trade that Ford Taurus in. So I went to go do that, and I kept looking for a couple of weeks for a van, and I wasn't finding any, and I didn't know why God wanted me to have a van to start with, because I don't have a family, I'm just single, so. But I did what God had told me to do. I went to several different dealerships, and I didn't find, the one dealership wasn't very honest with me about the van. The other dealership was, the guy tried to hit on me, and after about 2 weeks of looking around and not being at peace at what I was looking at, I was walking up the stairs while I was taking care of this client and living in her house, and her pastor had stopped by unexpectedly. And so as I'm going out the door, I see that he has a van, and I thought to myself, I'll bet God sent him here because He wants him to direct me where to find a van. So I had turned around and asked him, where did you get your van? So he directed me down to the Chevrolet dealer down in Rapid City, and when I got down there, I met this really nice gentleman. In the process of all of this, God wanted me to spend no more than $5,000 on a van. The van that I have now was listed at $7,000. Now, I only had like 50 bucks in my bank, so I'm walking in extreme faith here. So, having done that, having walked, I went to look at this van, and we rode around for about an hour, and the gentleman was really nice, and I really liked the van. He told me everything about it, how it worked and everything, because I had never had a van before, and I've always had small cars. And so I have never bought in a car. I have never had payments on a car. In all the time that I have had cars, I've had a Buick. I've had after college, my dad brought me a car. When I got married, my husband's aunt passed away and gave me her Buick. I did a settlement with the ex-husband when I had gotten divorced. Again, the $14,000, I cut it in half for $7,000, and I got that Ford Taurus, paid cash for that, $6,000 for that. Then when I went back and forth to Montana in 2006, between 2006 and 2009, with that Ford Taurus, and it got mileage on it, and it finally gave out. But God has always guided me to the right vehicle. It's just amazing, those stories that I have when it comes to my cars. But this particular time, he wanted me to get a van. And so I had searched for 2 weeks, and about the last day when I was about to give up, I was going to go and do it one more time. And it just so happened to be, again, that my client's pastor was there. I asked him where he got the van. He sent me to the Chevrolet dealer in Rapid City, South Dakota. Went there. The guy spent an hour with me. I had 50 bucks in my bank. I had $50 in my bank, and I didn't know how I was going to pay for this. I had no clue how I was going to pay for this, but I'm walking in faith because I know God wants me to have this van. And he says not to pay more than $5,000 for it. So, as I'm sitting there, he goes back, and the dealer, the guy that was working with me, he says, well, he's going to go back and talk to, I said, I can't pay $7,000 for this van. So he goes back to he leaves the office like they always do, to pretend or to actually talk to their boss, and he comes back with a figure of $6,000. And I said, I can't pay $6,000. I'm sitting here and I'm telling the truth. And I'm saying, in my mind, I'm saying, God, anytime now, anytime now. And so he sat down and he said, I really want you to have this van. We'll do a trade-in with your Ford Taurus, but because the cylinder went out, it just isn't really worth a whole lot. And this is what we'll give you for that. But give me a figure, Dee, because I want you to have this van. So I pushed out $5,000. So he left the third time. Yes, it was the third time he left. And so he said, I'll work with you if you give me a figure. So I gave him I said, I can't pay any more than that. No taxes. That includes taxes. That includes everything. That's all I can offer you. I didn't say that's all I had, because that's not what I had at all in my bank. So while he's gone, my ex-husband calls me, and he had heard that I was looking for a van for my son apparently, and his timing was just a God thing. And I said, well, I'm actually in the dealership looking at a van right now that I really, really like. And so he says, well, I'm not going to pay for, I'll pay for that van for $5,000. I didn't even tell him how much I was asking for this van. And then he said, I'll give you $500 on top of that, but you get it paid to get it checked out before you buy it. So he paid the dealership to take it down to Tri-State Tires, where I do my business. They checked the whole thing out. He paid my ex paid the $60 for that. Then he paid $5,500 to me for the van. Now that's an awesome story, because I had no clue that was going to happen. So today when I have done my offerings, when I got that, the offerings that I've been doing, I'm walking in faith now because I had sent 5 ministries $400 in tithing money. 5 different ministries. My local ministry, Joan Hunter, Sid Roth, 700 Club, and Carrie Kirkwood, as God directed me. And I also gave, in my spending category, in the budget that I had showed you, that I've been teaching you, I also did 1,000 to my mentor, and I also did going to Joan Hunter Ministries, and the flight ticket and the hotel. That is also out of my spending, so that is considered an offering. So the only reason I'm telling you that is because I do what God leads me to do. So today he wanted me to get up and go look for a house, a $400,000 house. Now, I don't know how he's going to pay for that. I have no clue. If he rearranges the whole universe for that to happen, I am really glad. You know, he can do anything. I have watched him do anything. I've never had to pay for my cars ever. I've never had a payment on a car. I've owned them right out. I've either paid for them full cash, or God has brought into my mind how to pay for them. He works with reality to get what he needs to get done. So that's what I was doing today. I was out looking for, I had a dream a year ago about a house that usually comes to pass within a year. So I was looking for the house that was in my dream, and I didn't find it. I was looking around the Big Fork area, and that didn't happen. And so, but I am sure it will. The thing is that I'm going to be looking for a house this week, every day. For those of you who need your faith stretched, please pray and thank God for me finding a house and directing my steps, and it all to fall into place and come into alignment. This little apartment, when we went to church last week, as I was praying to God in the worship service, he had pointed out a young gentleman that he told me that I was going to be praying for. And at the end of the whole service, the pastor had us share things that God has done for us that are miraculous. And so he ended up with me and my mentor, and he stated during this time that at the end of this month he was going to be out of a place to live. And so I said to God, you know, I prayed for this young man, and I said to God, he really needs to be in this place. He needs to be in this apartment. And so I would love to see God come through with that $400,000 house, and that young gentleman gets to have this apartment. And so I'm praying that everything works out to where it's supposed to. Wouldn't that be? That is so going to be awesome. So every day I'm going to show you over here. So yesterday I'm going to show you what I pray on a daily basis. Every time I walk by this, God has put it on my heart to pray. I don't know if you can see that, but that's just a list of things that I pray each time I walk by that. My sons are on that, my home is on that, my future husband's on that, my health, and individual people, my mentor and the man upstairs and his wife. And I just have a list of things that I pray blessings over on people. So again, if you have any prayers or requests on the bottom, go ahead and leave them down there, and we'll get to I think I'm just going to do this on another video. So yesterday was the 23rd, and I was going to start my exercises, but after I had gotten off that video, I had to put my, I don't know if you can see that, my coat rack together. I got from Walmart a couple of weeks ago, and it was so funny because the little screw driver that I put that together with, I wasn't sitting on my makeup chair, because it was so loose. But it required this type of screwdriver, you know, those ones that are 8 prongs. I don't know if you can see that. And I had some at home. I don't know if you can see what that looks like. But this was kind of a blessing in disguise because it fit that makeup vanity, and I got to screw it all in, and it really works well now. So that came in handy for both of those things. And after I had done that, I had put that double tape on the top of the dryer, those boxes on top of the dryer, and with those with that material, and it wasn't staying. So I had bought a hot glue gun and had to hot glue gun all of that yesterday as well. After I got done, it took me quite a while to put that little coat rack together and hot glue gun all of that stuff together. And by the time I got all that done, I ended up having a phone call from a friend, and after we got done with that, so I never got to do my exercises. And that isn't an excuse. I just got busy and got those things done like I needed to get those things done. So today, after I had just been in the presence of God, He wanted me to go out, start looking for a home. All of a sudden I felt a rush to do that. So I'm really, really hoping that this all falls into place. Then I went to, I drove all around Bickford where I had been before. I had seen that they had 2 churches, or several churches, the Crossroad Church, this little brown church, Assemblies of God Church, and there were quite a few there that I'm looking into going to in the morning, but I go to this one in the evening that I really like with my mentor. It is really spirit-filled, and it practices the gifts of the Spirit. So anyway, after we had done that, after I had looked and looked and looked, and I thought, well, I'll just go look online and see what houses are for sale. Once I see it, I'll know exactly what it is. Once I see it in my mind's eye, I will know exactly. And again, the Lord wanted me to look for a $400,000 house. So you better believe it's probably more than that. It's going to do the same thing. He's going to do the same thing He did with my van. So for those of you who are watching, you're going to watch this miracle happen, and I'm going to continue to pray about it. And I'm hoping that it happens before the end of the month, so this little gentleman can take over this house. And God also has told me when I was down at Oryx that He was going to give me $60,000 in cash to help pay for a home, and I'm sure that that's on top of everything else. But then I went to Salvation Army. They had half off on books, Keys to Effective Prayer. So I'm looking forward to that, to listening to that audio CD. You're a blessing to me. I'm trying to teach myself how to bless people by going over things that cover that. Friendship is a blessing. Now, some people just don't know how to bless. They have to be taught to bless, and I'm one of those people. So that was another one. Recipes for Life. This is preparing the table, prayers, blessings, saying grace, appetizers, first things first, soup and salad, making choices, entree, keeping the main thing and the main thing, side dishes, what comes with the main course. This is dessert, sweet blessings, after dinner music, and mint. Have a seat at His table. Your hosts look forward to serving you. This is, of course, talks about food and why we bless our food in the whole 9 yards, and the recipe for doing that. Family blessing. This gives scriptures, simple scriptures of how to bless your family. Bless your sons and your daughters if you don't know how to pray for them, and I thought that would be an awesome thing to learn. And eventually, when all of this money comes in, which I believe it is, because the key to God's heart is blessing and thinking blessings despite what you see, because it's open windows of heaven for me. You're going to be you get what you put out. Everything that you put out, you're going to get back. And I say that in all my videos. This one is the stock market investment. So I want to thank you for joining me. This is Dee Dryden. Be blessed to be a blessing. Don't forget to subscribe. Make your comments on the bottom. And thank you.